Everyone knows Blue Lock's main mission, to create Japan's ultimate striker who can lead them to the World Cup glory. But what if we applied that philosophy right now, not in the future, and built the current U20 Japan team entirely around one player? That's exactly what this video is about, because today we're building Blue Lock's best U20 team centered around Rin Itoshi. And before we start listing off players on this lineup, we need to lock in Rin's position, role, and ideal partnerships. And if you watch the scout report video I did on Rin, you'd know all about this, because we broke down all this stuff in detail. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to check it out first. But here are the key points you need to know. Rin functions primarily as an advanced forward or complete forward at the striker position, and that's where he'll obviously be playing in this team. And to maximize him, he thrives under two specific partner archetypes, the first being a playmaker and the second being either a shadow striker or a second striker. And so without the way, you gotta pick out the ideal formation for this team based around Rin. In the scout report video, I explained how Rin's tactical fit works best in either a single striker or two striker system. He's dangerous with a partner close to him that he can bounce short range passes off of as he dribbles, and that was the main appeal of the two striker system. But here's the twist: you don't actually need two strikers to give Rin that close range support. Instead, we can run a single striker formation that still supplies both a playmaker and shadow striker. That essentially gives him the best of both worlds. So after weighing the options, the formation I'm using to build the Rin's U20 team is a 4-3-2-1, with Rin at the top as the focal point, surrounded by two cams supporting him, one as a creative playmaker and the other as a close range supporting shadow striker. And so without the way, we can finally start selecting the ideal players to fill in this lineup centered around Rin. Alright, let's start from the back with the goalkeeper. When it comes to this position, Rin doesn't need someone who directly links up with him. It's more about just locking down the defense so he can focus on attacking. So really, we're just going to be picking the best option when it comes to Blue Lock's goalkeeper and also defenders. And so for goalkeepers, the choice is either between Gagamaru and Fukaku. But honestly, there's almost never a good reason to start Fukaku over Gagamaru, because Gagamaru is simply just in a different class when compared to him. That's why our first pick in the #1 shirt will be Gagamaru playing as a sweeper keeper, someone who's quick off his line, able to shut down overhit through balls, and fearless in a one-on-one situation. On top of that, his athleticism makes him an elite shot stopper. Now, this doesn't directly boost Rin's play the way a cam or a striker would, but Gagamaru's reliability at the back means Rin never really has to worry too much about defensive errors costing the game and can freely play high up top as an aggressive frontliner, knowing his keeper can bail the team out whenever things get messy. And in the 4-3-2-1 system, that stability is crucial to letting the attack flow. Let's sort out our two center backs in this formation. The pool of options here is pretty decent, with Aiku, Nico, Aryu, and if you really want to add some more, you could consider Reyo, Kunigami, or Raichi. But let's be real, we can narrow that down very easily. First up, Kunigami and Raichi. Neither of them have experience or the natural comfort at the center back position compared to the others, so we can take them out of the running right away. Reyo is a different case though. He's versatile enough to play anywhere, but I would argue that his strengths are much better suited higher up on the pitch, so we're not going to be using him here. That leaves us with Aiku, Nico, and Aryu, and here's where some people might start to disagree. A lot of fans that argue Nico over Aryu, but in this setup, I'm leaning towards Aryu. Not because Nico is a bad defender or anything, but I just don't really see Nico's best position as a center back because he is so short. Aryu's natural size and aerial dominance makes him a perfect fit for your typical center back, unlike Nico, who would be below the average height of a center back. So the pairing we're going with is Aiku and Aryu. Aiku is the most complete and reliable of the center backs. He's calm, versatile, physically strong, good at one-on-one defending, and a center back who's great on the ball. So his role in this team is going to be as a ball-playing center back, capable of stepping up higher on the pitch and playing progressive passes during the build-up phase or even counters. Aryu, on the other hand, brings elite height, jumping power, now with his new and improved technique, some one-on-one defending. He fits the no-nonsense stopper archetype, being aggressive in duels, while Aiku stays a little bit more disciplined at the back line. Together, this makes a perfectly balanced partnership, one calm and composed, the other dominant and aggressive. And most importantly, they give Rin the solid defense backbone he needs from behind so that he can take a risk up front without worrying about leaks at the back. Now let's move on to the fullbacks. Looking at the fullback position, we have a few possible options for players here, with them being Hiyori, Chigiri, Kurina, Reo, Kiora, and Nico. And straight up from listing those players, we can already eliminate the weaker options, which ends up being Kurina and Kiora, leaving us with Hiyori, Chigiri, Reo, and Nico. And all these players can actually be quite good in the right back spot, so a lot of this is going to come down to tactical fit. And since this formation is actually the 4-3-2-1, it's a very narrow formation, meaning it's actually on the fullbacks to provide width for the team. That means we're going to need wingbacks to play in the fullback position on this squad, which automatically rules out Nico as an option. As for Reo can definitely be used as an attacking wingback, but I think his tools could be better suited for a different position in this team, which leaves us with Chigiri and Hiyori. And with these two left, this gives us actually both our fullbacks. Chigiri being right-footed will be playing on the right side, and Hiyori being left-footed will be playing on the left side. Chigiri has the speed and defensive ability to be an elite right back. His good dribbling can be used to the max on the wide side of the field, and he can provide great crosses towards Rin playing up top. The same goes for Hiyori, except instead of using speed, he'll use his composure and good dribbling to either link up play with the other midfielders or deliver direct crosses to Rin using his long passing and crossing ability. But yeah, that's it for our fullback section, with Chigiri and Hiyori as the wingbacks for this squad. Now let's move on into the midfield. In the 4-3-2-1, we've got three central midfielders, with one sitting a little bit deeper as more of a CDM, providing an extra layer of protection for the back line. So who are your options for this more CDM-like role? You have Kunigami, Raichi, Karazu, and Reo. But here's the thing, since this setup only uses a single CDM, we need someone who's not just straight up a ball winner, but also comfortable on the ball, someone who can start attacks and control the tempo. And so that immediately rules out Kunigami or Raichi. Both are solid ball winners, but they only shine in a 2 CDM position, where they'll have one other CDM who's more good on the ball to support them. So that narrows down the options to Karazu and Reo. Now Reo is more versatile and overall a stronger player, no question, but in this specific role and position, sitting deep and dictating play, Karazu is the one who really thrives. His ability to recycle possession, retain the ball under pressure, and set the tempo from deep is exactly what this team needs. Plus, it gives us the option to save Reo for a more advanced role, which will maximize his versatility. So the pick here is Karazu as our deep line playmaker. He anchors the midfield, keeps the ball moving, and gives Rin the kind of structured service he needs from the very back of the build-up. Let's decide on our other two central midfielders. The options here are Reo once again, Kurina, Raichi, Nanase, and Bachiro. Now just from that list, I think it's pretty clear who stands out. In this formation, we don't need any more destroyers or defensive-minded players, because we've already solved that with our CDM Karazu. What we need now are players who are more comfortable on the ball and elite at linking up the play, so they can connect the CDM and the defense to the two attacking midfielders ahead of them. Basically, players who can transition the team from the build-up to the final attack smoothly. And that immediately gives us our two frontrunners, which is Reo and Bachiro. The others, like Kurina and Nanase, are decent options, but don't bring the same skill level that Reo and Bachiro do. So we're looking in on Reo on the right side and Bachiro on the left. Reo's role will be as a box-to-box Mazzella or box-to-box half-winger, player who can cover ground, defend when needed, but also push the ball forward to connect with the attack. Reo's versatility makes him an elite player in this role. Bachiro, on the other hand, will play as more of an attacking focused Mazzella or half-winger. His dribbling flair and ability to break lines with the ball at his feet gives the midfield the spark and unpredictability it needs to connect to the cams. Together, these two act like half-wingers, stretching the field and providing width, since the 4-3-2-1 doesn't actually have any wingers. And as we're currently seeing in the U20 game versus Nigeria, when Reo and Bachiro link up in the midfield, can be absolutely lethal. So pair them up with two versatile attacking mids in front, and suddenly this midfield becomes one of the best forward-going midfield Lock can offer. Now we get to the most important part of the lineup, the two attacking midfielders who sit directly behind Rin. Since Reo and Bachiro are already being used deeper in the midfield, our only realistic options are Sendo, Isagi, and Sai. And honestly, this decision isn't that difficult. Sendo can be a decent player, but compared to the other two, he just doesn't bring the same world-class impact, which leaves us with the obvious picks of Isagi and Sai. And here's how they'll work. Sai will be playing on the left with the role of being the primary playmaker. His vision, passing range, and ability ability to dictate in the final third make him the elite creative hub of the team. He's the one throwing killer passes to Rin, while Rin waits in the elite shooting positions. Isagi slots in as the team's shadow striker. His aggressive off-the-ball runs, vision, and adaptability make him the ideal close-range partner for Rin. Isagi can either combine with him in tight spaces or drag defenders away with decoy runs. And even worst case, if Rin's not doing too well, can act as a secondary scoring threat if Rin is tightly marked. Together, Sai and Isagi round out this attack with the exact archetypes Rin thrives alongside: an elite playmaker to feed him the ball and a shadow striker to link up with. This partnership is what unlocks Rin's full potential, making him even more dangerous than he already is. And so that wraps up Japan's U20 team if it were built around Rin Itoshi, with Gagamaru in net, Aryu and Aiku at center back, Yori and Shigiri at fullback, Karizu at CDM, Bachira and Ryo as center mids, Sai and Isagi at the cam spot, and lastly, of course, Rin Itoshi at the striker position. But now I want to hear from you guys. Is this the best possible lineup around Rin, or would you make any changes? Let me know in the comments. And thanks to the guys who voted on the poll, as the next Blue Lock Scout Report video will now be on Shido, where we'll break down how scouts would see him and why he's such a lethal player. And if you haven't already, check out Rin's full scout report for all the context behind this team, and stay tuned for more videos on this series.